What's going on, guys? It's your boy Treff Gaming. I'm here to let you know that Drytron is in fact the best deck and I was wrong all along. Trust me bro. Drytron or Dytron.
What's going on, guys? Logan JYA, Drykage, added again with a brand new Drytron deck profile. That's right, we've got the newest, hottest, high ceiling combo Drytron list for you guys that's going to wreck the post-POTE format. I'm telling you guys, we were just kicking butt with it on stream this night. And if you want to see us play this deck live, you should definitely check out our Twitch stream down below. Before we get into this profile, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my friends at TDT Gaming. My boy Shaq hooked us up with some great mats. We're going to be giving away on stream. We're using one of those mats in this deck profile. So definitely want to slide through the stream, see how you can win some of those. But anyway, all those links are in the description down below. If you guys didn't already hit that like button, please do me a favor and do so. And subscribe if you want more Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically Drytron content. We got it all, baby. I'm here to show you guys how Drytron can still contend in the current format. Not even contend, annihilate. So without further ado, I don't preface this too much. Let's get into this deck profile, baby. Cheers. What's going on, guys? Logan JYA here, Drykage back at it again, and that's right, we've got a brand new Drytron video for you, and this is going to be the most high ceiling builds you're ever going to find. So, I don't want to preface this too much, let's get into the list. Alright guys, so we're going to start things off with the main deck, of course. I'm playing 46 cards, which is a bit more than we're used to, but it should get the job done. Right here, we're going to start things off, of course. I'm going to go through the basics real quickly, as you guys already know. Playing triple copies of Alpha Thubin. Shout out to my boy Sparta King. Check out his channel if you haven't already seen it. You already know what this does. I don't gotta explain this to you. We got triple copies of Zeta, right? Grab your spells. I'm not gonna explain this either. You should know what you're doing if you're playing Drytron, right? But yes, you tribute this to search spell card. More oftentimes than not, you tribute in Ben 10. After that, we are playing 3 copies of Gamma in this build. Longevity is still important. Climbing into link monsters is especially important in this build, so we want to be sure to have max out on Gamma. And basically, any Alpha plus any other name should get you to your full combo, Gamma being one of them. So 100% you want to max that out. And the only reason why we're only doing 2 Delta in this build is because we're playing Pot of Prosperity. And I needed to make a cut because I didn't want to have an odd number of cards in the deck. 46 felt okay to me. 45 I'm cool with too. But you'll see it's a really, really tight build. So it was really hard to cut down any further. But you'll see what I mean in a moment. Moving on from there into the rituals, I'm not going to have to explain Ben 10 to you. Glad she's at 2. You know, let's bring it to 3, Kona. I mean, why not? Why not? I honestly think but there's no reason for this card to stay at 2. Let's bring it to 3. We got 1 copy of Natasha to go along with it. We love stealing cards. Why would we not? And as you read in the title, Megalith is in this build once again, my friends. So we brought it back. Of course, we are sticking to the classic ratios. We've got 2 Megalith Ophiel, 1 Megalith Fool, and 1 Megalith Bethor, alright? This is the kind of build that we're going for here. We're going for actual, real combo. This isn't Vanity's Ruler Turbo, which of course that build has a lot of merit and would arguably be one of, if not the best builds of Drytron going into the new format. But I'm going to tell you right now, this is the highest ceiling for combos, is this Megalith build right here that you guys are going to see. And you'll see when we do the combo tutorial at the end, so be sure you stick around till then. And if you haven't already done so, hit that like button. Moving on from there, we got the 1 copy of Draco, and we're going to play this because there are still decks out there that could be scythe locking. And also, when we are clearing out big boards, this is one of the big boys that helps enable that. Especially if we negate the stuff on their boards, there's a lot of times we can use this either to clear out the game or just attack everything. And of course, you know, if it comes up, we still have our backup plan of playing around Droll through this guy. And I'll mention this last part, 4K machine, searchable ritual monster that you can hold in your hand to use to ritual summon with Meteonis if the need arises. I think I've mentioned that before in past profiles, but for those of you who are joining us a little tardy to the party, it never hurts to learn something new. Moving on from there, I'm only doing 2 Diviner in this build, okay? So I had, this is another spot where I was like, okay, I didn't really want to go above 46. 46 is already really pushing it. So 2 Diviners, very similar to what our boy Jort did at the North American Nationals, playing this card at 2. Although these are very different builds, I think we get away with only 2. We shouldn't need to normal summon it more than twice. We don't have any more than 2 targets for it. So I think 2 is sufficient. Think about it like this. We used to play this at 3 when Ben 10 was at 1, right? You can think of the second Ben 10 coming in and taking the spot of the 3rd Diviner in this build in particular.
Moving on to other fairy targets that we're main decking, we are main decking the Lancia, and since this is a main part of one of our key combos, we're main decking the Scythe as well. So of course both of them are searchable off Dagda, just more useful in different types of situations. Fairies, of course, searchable off Ben 10. Speaking of another fairy that's searchable off Ben 10 is also a hand trap. We got the Herald of the Orange Light, right? So we search this, we want to play around hand traps safer if we hard open fairies. It comes up, it really does. It's also one of our backup plans against Dark Ruler No More. So when we have enough fairies in hand, we're able to search this out and be able to play in case our main combo board gets negated, right? So stay ready, stay ready. It's good to have a card like this in your deck. And that's it for the monster lineup. Let's go through the spells. Guys, don't rail me too hard. I know I'm always back and forth about this. I used to be very, very strong supporter of 3 copies of Drytron Nova, but in this build we're doing 2. And the main reason for that is because we're doing 2 of the field spell as well. And why are you doing that, you may ask? Hopefully you know the fact that this card has another effect that can reduce the levels of monsters when they're special summoned, right? So that's pretty darn good against the Spright deck. Having this as a lingering effect that not a lot of people know about is something that is absolutely worth leveraging. That's why we jacked up the count of Drytron Fafnirs in the main deck to 2. So absolutely something strong worth considering. I think you guys should do it. That's what we're doing in this particular build. And I am only doing 1 copy of Megalith Drytron. I know it would theoretically suck if this gets set off totally awesome, but in theory we can also pop it with cards like Entis, Nightmare Phoenix, if the need were to arise. But hopefully we don't put ourselves in that situation. We can force it out earlier, and there are ways to do that. So we really don't want to have to play into things like that, just so you're aware. That is a situation that could come up that could call for the second ritual spell. But as of right now, we're sticking to the 1. We'll see how the format shapes out if we want to change it after further testing. Moving on from there, we've got triple copies of Preparation of Rites, a hand trap heavy format. We need maximized consistency, and we need cards that let us play through hand traps. That's what Prep is kind of here to serve that purpose for. It gets you into whichever cards you need, whether they be Megaliths or Ben 10s. Prep can get you to it. Also lets you reuse Medionis, which is a very, very strong thing. So, very good card in my opinion. If you really wanted to be crazy, you could cut these for talents, but I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't. Triple copies of Cyber Emergency, search Drytron names. Triple copies of Pot of Prosperity to dig for your names, or you're going second cards, like your Forbidden Droplets. I'm still making 3 of this. We're going to see how that shakes out. On top of that, going second cards, we've got Terraforming the Mystic Mine. I don't like playing this degenerate card, but we got to do it because it's insane. And then we got the Foolish Burial, Call by the Grave, and the Harpy's Feather Duster. I did want to still play 1 mine out just in case I didn't want to have something out of the auto scoop too. So yeah, but against back row decks too, this is nice, but I want to let you guys know that the Megalith build is one of the best Drytron builds at playing through back row decks, so we're kind of already set for that. I'm going to go into the extra deck now. Starting things off, we've got the 1 copy of Link Karibo. I'm not playing Anima on this particular build, mostly because there's no way to tribute summon over it before Banner's Roar when you need it going first. I like having a Link Karibo. Usually getting linked off anyway, so it's not that big a deal. It's not mandatory, like Nightmare Griffin could play Anima on the slot, but I'm choosing not to. After that, got the 1 copy of Artifact Dagda. This grabs you your Scythe or your Lancia if you're playing against the Flannery's deck, so stay aware, stay ready. It's so easy to do, and if you want to see how to do our full combo board that ends on like an insane amount of interruptions, 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix to pop the back row and be a free link to decline into with our Natasha. Here's one of our fresh new additions, our good friend Spright Elf. So that's where the Spright part of this deck comes in. It's in the form of 1 card, and Spright Elf is one of our main combo enablers. And you'll see how in the combo tutorial. I don't want to spoil too much. 1 copy of IP Masquerena. It's another piece of our end board. That also goes well with our Boral Sword Dragon and our Apollosa. Because again, we're going for more natural, I guess you could say, climb into negates rather than big pseudo floodgate effects like Vanity's Roar. Now mind you, we are scythe locking, yes, and that is a pseudo floodgate effect, but it's not our be-all end-all. So that's it for the Link monsters. Quick through the synchro, since we're doing Megalith, of course we're playing Barone. This actually lets us play safer through hand traps, things like Nibiru. Even if Nibiru does fall out of favor, having access to Barone as a negate that we can get to in our half measure type hands where we can't get through the whole thing is a really, really important factor to consider, as well as the fact that this is a key piece of the end board and a way to scythe lock your opponent while playing around Dark Ruler No More. So it serves many purposes. On top of that, we got the Herald of Orange Light. What am I saying? The Herald of Arc Light, which actually lets you search in which monster. I don't gotta explain that to you. 1 copy of Entis that goes with Diviner, pop stuff. And then for the Exceed monsters, 2 copies of Drytron. Moy Beta Fafnir, our boy, our absolute favorite. Check out this extended art. Shout out to Chaos Art and Games. Our friend Brio put this together. Huge fan. Absolutely go check her out. Her artwork is phenomenal. And this is one of my favorite pieces she has. She also did an alpha for me.
which I will show you guys in a future video, so if you want to see that, be sure to stick around. We got the one copy of Beatrice to go along with this because you need it when you see those one-name hands. Gotta stay ready.
And the cool thing about this build is that one-name hands can still get you to a really, really big board. In the build where we play Vanity's Ruler, you weren't actually able to do that as well because you would have to spend your normal summon on the Diviner, which gets you the Beto Buster. Here, you don't have to worry about that as much because your end board is still going to be ending on big negates, still probably can Scythe Lock, things like that. The one copy of Downward Magician and then the one copy of Zeus to round things out. I didn't have room for Fuko in this build, unfortunately, and we're going to have to kind of ride the logic, and fingers crossed that Droll kind of creeps its way out of the format. Even though Fuko serves many more purposes than just that, like when you get shifted or other situations where you just can't play because you don't have enough cards to enable your combo. I hate to have had to cut it, but in this build we had to. Alright guys, to round things out with the side deck, I'm going to show you what we're packing here going into the new format. Now mind you, this may change a little bit depending on you're playing this at locals, you're playing this at a major event, whatever it may be, you're going to want to adapt. And we're going to have to see how the meta actually shakes out to have the best idea as to what to be side decking. So some of these are carryovers, some of these are new cards, some of these are logical ideas for how things are going to work against Spright. So keep that all in mind as we move through this. But of course we're starting things off with triple copies of Lava Golem. This is one of the strongest board breakers we can play because our deck is able to eat through boards without our normal summons so easily. So this is a free 2 monsters removed. It's really good against the tier element deck. Sack over their Predaplant and their Winda. Boom, problem solved. Sack over Spright negates. Really good. Sack over a lot of things, so highly, highly, highly encourage you guys to play Lava Golem. And I'm thinking about taking a step further and testing Sphere mode, so it's still kind of in the works. We'll think about it. On top of that, for board breakers, we got Triple Dark Ruler no more. This is, I talked about it in the video, a lot of people are even main decking this, especially the tier element decks. We're still gonna play it. We're just gonna play it in the side deck for when we know we're going second against build-a-board decks. We are main decking the droplets, and we have that copy of Mystic Bind as our hard-going second cards in the main. Also, our archetype is very efficient at breaking boards on its own. So I think we're pretty sufficiently set in the main board, but keep these in the side. I'm also testing out 2 copies of the Artemis Slayer in the side deck, or Ultimate Slayer, the new name. I have the 3rd copy, but I'm choosing to only play 2 for space constrictions. You'll see as we kind of move on that things do get tight. But another card to bring against tier element to deal with Winda, or really deal with any negate. It's also really good against Sword Soul, bringing this in as another way to remove the Chow Fang, and that also gives us a free search off of our Herald of the Arclight. Really cool card, highly encourage you guys to give it some testing. I'm testing it right now, and overall, it's been doing pretty well for me. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Next, triple copies of Twin Twisters. Got to stay ready for those back row decks. They're still going to exist. Same thing with Flundery, still going to be around here, so we got the Twins to be ready for them. The one copy of Red Reboot to blow out back row decks. The one copy of the Necro Banshee and the Zombie World for any deck that's super archetype reliant. Little slept on fact, this is really good against Ad Ignister and any other Cyverse heavy deck. Most of them need Cyverses to play, so it's really another cool, unique use scenario to side this in when you're going first. Send it off Beatrice, obviously, which you can easily integrate into your main combo line. Same thing goes for Mischief of the Gnomes. This card is a card you can send off of your Beatrice to use in the Spright matchup to make all of their cards in their hand level 1 instead of level 2. That means if they normal summon it, it's still level 1, they can't use their effects to special summon themselves from the hand. So we're kind of well set there. But that's everything for the deck profile. We're not done yet though. Get ready, we're going to slide into a full combo tutorial with Alpha Zeta to show you what this deck can end on. It's pretty crazy. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, you've made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for sticking around, and you will be rewarded for your patience with this absolutely insane high ceiling Drytron combo. Now I'm gonna let you guys know, of course, don't cringe, we are starting with Alpha Zeta, but you can do this with Alpha and any other name. Gamma, Delta, you can still get to almost the exact same end board. So there's a lot of variance in here, and that's how it really goes with the Megalith build. It takes us back to something that's a little bit more free-spirited than the Vanity Ruler build. It's just something I enjoy, and hopefully you guys will too when you test this build. So we're going to do it with Alpha Zeta. Of course, you guys already know you could do it with any of these other cards too that get you to Alpha Zeta, some of which give you extra extenders or the backup effect of this lowering levels. So just keep that in mind. Any of these cards will get you there. But without further ado, let's hop into it. I'm going to keep the basics quick, and I'll only explain when I feel it's really, really necessary. And forgive me if it looks a little weird. This is my first time doing this backwards. So without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to alpha, pitch, zeta. Of course, you already know. Grab the Ben 10 like so. Zeta effect engrave will then pitch the Ben 10, grabbing you Megalith, and then Ben 10's effect will search you out Diviner. From this point on, overlay into Moy Beta Fafnir, our friend right here, and you already know that homie is going to be foolishing that Gamma. Again, huge shout out to Brio for that awesome extended art. Chaos Painting Games, baby, go check them out. Moving on from there, we're going to normal summon our Diviner, and Diviner will send Herald of the Arclight to grab us Megalith Ophiel. Looking pretty similar to our old Megalith combos, and that is kind of what gets us to this route. It really changes near the end though, so be sure to stick around. From this point on, we are going to use our first ritual summon for Megalith, go off of Moy Beta to summon Ophiel. And then Ophiel's effect will trigger on the field to grab us Megalith Fool. Looking still familiar, right? Hopefully you guys are keeping up with me. If you remember, this is where we then play around Nibiru, which may not be the most popular hand trap this format, but don't let yourself get caught off guard. We're still playing around it because we still have a live Gamma locked and loaded, which means now when we go into our Barone, we don't have that much to worry about. Now we are officially safe from one hand trap going forward. Moving on from there, we are going to use the effect of Megalith Engrave, reducing the Moy Beta on field and adding it back to our hand. Then we'll use the effect of Gamma in the graveyard, pitching off the Fool in our hand to special summon itself and the name we detached off Moy Beta earlier. Going on from here, we're then going to take these two boys and link them off into the artifact Dagda on the top like so. I told you in the profile we're scythe locking. We're scythe locking, alright? So we'll go for Megalith, and that's going to trigger our Dagda, letting us set the artifact scythe right into the back row, and then we'll detach off of the Moy Beta for the next ritual summon, which will give us our Megalith Fool. Fool's effect will trigger to add back the Ben 10 from the graveyard to our hand, and then we will use the Fool's effect on field, pitching off that Ben 10 to special summon the second copy of Ophiel out from the deck. We're going to go Ophiel effect and Ben 10 effect, probably chain block the Ben 10. We're going to grab ourselves another copy of Ben 10 and the Megalith Bethor as well. So right now, look at this board, right? It's looking pretty similar to what we used to line up and where we would go into DPE. But DPE is banned. We can't be doing that anymore. So what are we going to do to kind of circumvent that situation? I'm going to show you. You can take any one of these monsters that's not Barone, link it with your Dagda, turn it into the Spright Elf, our brand new friend. That's where the Spright in this Drytron comes in. They come together, they form something magical. And I'll explain this in just a moment. So we summon our elf here, and we link these two guys off and summon an IP Mask Arena, because we're going to be able to tag this out into Apollosa or Boral Sword on our opponent's turn, depending on what better fits the situation. Playing against Eldritch, we're going to tag that joint out into a Boral Sword. Playing against Spright, playing against Tear Element, we're tagging that joint out into an Apollosa. You already know. So next, we can use Spright Elf's effect. Since our Fool was properly ritual summoned first, we can bring this back onto the field, and it will not get its effect to add back again, but it still can quick ritual summon on the opponent's turn, which is a really cool thing. And we're locked and loaded, ready to go to summon our Bethor by attributing it and the Ben 10 we searched during our combo. Now, let's say we pass over to our opponent's turn, right? Their main phase, as soon as they pass priority, we use the effect of Spright Elf. We're going to reach into our graveyard here. I'm going to grab our old friend Diviner. She's coming on back. This is very similar to what Jordy Wang used to do in his profile, where he used the Barone to tag out to Diviner, send the Entis, and pop the Scythe. We're doing the same thing here, only we get to do it a little bit easier with the Spright Elf. So we'll use that to summon the Diviner since it's a level 2. We'll use Diviner's effect on the field to send Entis to the graveyard. Entis' effect will then pop the Scythe in the back row, and then we Scythe lock our opponent like so. Now, I'm just going to flag real quick that if you want to play around Dark Ruler no more, specifically, which a lot of Tear Element decks are main decking, you can pop the Barone, you can pop the Scythe on your own turn with your Barone and put it in the graveyard, and then during your opponent's standby phase, use the effect of Barone to shuffle back and special summon the Scythe back out and Scythe lock them that way. And then you can use the Spright Elf's effect to bring back Diviner at any other point in the turn as an interruption to send Entis and pop anything on their field. It's really cool. So you've got a few different ways to kind of utilize these materials, and there's other end boards you can make. This is just the simple one. Think of this as your starting point. Choose to take it wherever you may. Change up the extra deck a little bit, and I want to hear from you. Where do you take the Spright Elf addition to Drytron and really go with it? I want to please let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button. Subscribe if you ain't already done so. And that's all from me, Logan JYA, Dry Kage, signing off. Have a great day. I'll see you chumps later. Peace.